Every morning starts a new page in your story life. Every morning you start a new page. And as you start the new page, you should always know that it makes a great day, a great one ahead of you. Because by the time you're going through a book, and just flip through the first one, you're going to the next one. So you want to know what is really put into that book. And that's why you picked it in the first place. You want to go deeper and understand what is in this book. I want to add more to my knowledge. I want to see more. I want to learn more. I want to understand better. And you have something at the end of the day. So by the time you flip through the first one, even when you're on your social media, sometimes you have 2-3 pictures. You see the first one and there's still some points. You took to the second one. You're still, enjoying it. So you have a new page this morning. That new page is to the glory of God. Like I always tell you, the heart of gratitude should be attitude for you and I, because no man can give you the life that you are breathing, that you life. You are hale and happy. Many are in the hospital right now. Many just lost their loved ones. Yeah, sometimes you need to come to the reality of understanding that we are here by the grace of God. And as a family, it goes a long way. It actually opens our minds and our hearts and our souls to many things that God has set to do in our life. You're welcome. Thank God for the gift of life. It's a new week. It's another week. It's a beautiful one. Today is the 18th day in the month of November. Oh, God, 2024. What else do you want God to do for you? What else? If you're still complaining you don't have money, if you're complaining, how am I going to, please don't complain. Just thank God first that you have life. When that life is there, it simply means one thing. You're bound to succeed if you're not lazy, if you're not slothful, if you're not looking at the weather before you leave the house, if you're not looking at things around you that is not encouraging. Like I always tell you, have a positive mind. So start with a positive mind this morning. This is like the television. The program is Family and Values. I've already told you everything you need to know about family and value with the little I've said. As a father, as a mother, as a son, as a daughter, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, those who are in school, already in school, bashing soy safe. They're already in school. So you can't say they're holding you back. There were some times in people's life that you need to make a lot of sacrifices that you never expected it. Like some people, I never expected it. But it comes in and you just find yourself there. Are you going to give in? No. Push. Because there is always a light at the back of the tunnel. My name is Olori Adejoke Adubi David. Family and Value is a program that is set for you and I to look at ourselves like we're checking ourselves in the mirror when we're leaving home or we're about to head out. Is this clothes looking nice on me? How is my family doing this morning? Okay, there are some topics you don't want to discuss, even as husband and wife. We will help you to push it out, and you ponder on it after watching any of our episodes. And I'm sure you've not been disappointed at any point in time. I see people say, "Oh, madam, I watched your program this morning." It's always sweet and interesting, but please let us receive those messages on our social media platforms, and also let's put to use all that we're discussing. And it will help us. My friends call me Olori AJ. Today, the 18th of November, is going to be another splendid and wonderful day. And I want you to know one thing. Try to smile. Smile. It will remove all those unnecessary. You now go to the spa, start wasting money again. It's good for you to smile. Good things are on the way. Good things are on the way. And God will always move in your way when you're happy. When you have a good mood, it means that you have confidence that things will work out well. Okay, so as we continue with today's show, I want you to do one thing for me. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy. As we're on the go, you can always join us on the National Digitalized Station 741 on Star Times. You can download our Galaxy mobile app. You can also be part of Galaxy programs on All Prime application. We're there. We're also on a video application. So we're everywhere. We're on the move on all our social media platforms. Join us on YouTube right now live, and you'll be part of the program. Send me your questions as we'll be going for a mini feature, and we'll be right back. But before then, happy birthday to everyone celebrating. Happy birthday to Aluko Oluwagbemi Tola. We call her Gbemi Aluko. I call her Yeye Aluko. Happy birthday to you from Family and Values, from Pillow Whispers, from Good News Center. Happy birthday to you. We love you and wish you all the very best from Praise Mistral. And also to Tawa Kalitu. We call her Ibadiaro. Happy birthday to you. Many more fulfilling new age to you. Your new year is blessed. And to everyone celebrating. So Tawa Kalitu is coming from Family and Values, from Pillow Whispers. We love you. And to everyone celebrating today and having any anniversary whatsoever. I tell you, God is going to surprise you. Happy celebration. Let's go for a mini feature. I'll be right back because our guest is here. Hey, welcome back. It's still Galaxy Television and the program is Family and Values. Okay, this morning I have one of my pastors in the house. He's coming in as a pastor, as a professor of human anatomy, and also as a counselor. He's going to come in as a life coach too, because the experience of life, you need to share that. So this morning I have one of my pastors from RCCG. It's so good to have you, sir. Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm very well.
It's so good to meet you once again. Okay, so I have Professor, Pastor, which one do I put first? It's both PP, okay? So Pastor, Professor, or Professor Pastor Ademola Ayodele Oremusu. I've given him all his lowdown. He's a professor of human anatomy and is also a life coach, is a counselor. We're putting everything. He's also an author. Don't forget that too. So we're having him here with so many tasks and responsibility. And our topic, like you heard, is something apologetic. But this time around, we've talked about apology from the educational aspect. What exactly is being apologetic? We are talking about the male and the female, the masculine, the feminine, everything that has to do with being apologetic. We've also talked about being apologetic from the angle of a mental health person. When you apologize and you get all these things out of your mind, it gives you an easy way, an easy mind. You clear your mind from every unnecessary weight that you be carrying. So we look at it from that angle. But now we're looking at it from the angle that why do I have to apologize? Is it compulsory? That's our topic this morning. Why do I have to apologize? What is in it for me? As I was coming, what's in it for me? Say, if I apologize, if I don't apologize, I'll just go my own way. What has that got to do with me? So we're having Prof. I've been using Prof. so that you will not be scared. And that's why I want to pick the Prof angle of my guest this morning. And so, sir, I want to ask, it's so good to have you. Like you said, you're welcome. This is Galaxy Television and your Family and Values. It's so good to have you. Welcome to our beautiful fellowship. Okay, so I want to look at it from this angle. What are the those things that will console me if I refuse to apologize? What are those things that can be confusing about the fact that what is this apology all about? Why do I need to? Because we're starting a new week. The year is coming to an end. You have people post graphics. I'm sorry if I've hurt you in any way. Please apologize or whatever wrong I've done. You see them put on their status. Why do you need to go all that level to really apologize? Why?
Thank you. Basically, in life, you look at what we call the 5 W's and the H. Okay. The what, the why, the when, the who, and the how. And today we're looking at the why. In life, we offend each other. We're social people. And so when offenses come, there has to be some form of, feeling sorry
Yeah.
if you've offended somebody. But quite often, like the question is why?
Yeah.
Quite often you may have to internalize and ask yourself, is what I've done really wrong? All right? For example, if you hold a particular religious view and you expressed it, even in a family setting, all right, and somebody else thinks what you've said is offensive to them, and they say apologize. It might become something that you really have to deal with it, process it. That why should I apologize? This is what I believe. This is my faith. This is my belief. And so sometimes it's difficult. There's this American musician that sang a song and said, "Words don't come easily, just like I'm sorry." So for a lot of people, it's not something that they might find easy to say. However, it's important also to know that there's a place for saying, "I'm sorry."
There's a place for saying, "I'm sorry." Okay. How do one now decide when an apology is coming your way? How do you decide whether it's necessary? Because we've talked about the what now. We're talking about the why. Why is it necessary?
Okay. Now, to be candid, offenses can be in categories. There are simple things that, in everyday life that you may overlook. Even if the person does not apologize, you may overlook. But some offenses are quite grave. And, because I'm a pastor, I look at some examples of stories, because life is about stories.
Yeah,
We're also telling our story,
of course.
and that's what we
Yes,
call
sir.
history.
Yeah.
So, two brothers came from the same womb, they were twins. And when they grew up, the father had his choice, his preference. But by the virtue of how they came, one was the first and the other came after. And the first one, naturally by history, takes the blessings of the father. But the other one, seeing that the father could not see too well, disguised, because there were certain features of the firstborn, very hairy, very
Huge.
stout man, huge. But the voice, he couldn't mimic the voice of. So at the time the father wanted to bless, he requested for something. So while the senior one went out, to cut a long story short, he took the senior brother's blessing. And naturally, the senior brother was hurt. And so the senior brother made up his mind. They went their separate ways, but he made up his mind. Many years later, I'm going to deal with this man. I'm going to kill him. And it was very instructive that the younger one now said to himself, I need to apologize. Otherwise, this apology, if it's not given, will destroy me and my generations. So he was smart enough and sent his wife and the children ahead, and they kept bowing down, and he said 7 times. So when you apologize, you have the verbal and the non-verbal way. So even though it wasn't written in the scripture that he said, I'm sorry, but by all the gesture of bowing to his senior brother, calling himself the servant of the senior brother, he saw that he had to apologize. And that saved a lot, because eventually they embraced themselves and wept. So I see that there are certain times, the reason for apology is, one, you want to save, the relationship. You need to save some relationships. So that's one of the examples I have to cite. The other one also, between parents and children. In Luke chapter 15, it also came across a young boy who said to his father, you know what, you belong to a different generation. And we have this going on these days. They say, oh, you are Generation X, you are baby boomers, we are the millennials, we are the Gen Zs, as they call it. So I could call that young man a Gen Z. He thought to himself, look, father, you are too slow. Life is on the fast pace. Just give me everything that's my due. Let me just go and sort myself out. And we have this Japa syndrome. And even some people Japa today without telling their parents. So the young man went. And of course, life happened to him.
Yeah, life always happens.
Life happened to him. And so by the time he came back to his father, he knew If I don't apologize, I've lost it. And that's basically our relationship between us and God. God has given us a life. He wants us that life to bless Him. He says we are created for His pleasure. But when you now use the things that God has given you for your own pleasure, you have abused the whole essence of the life given to you. So the boy realized, he said, look, let me go back to my father. When I apologize, it doesn't matter what position He puts me in, but at least I have a father to
That's
relate
the
to.
why it's
So
necessary.
those are the reasons why I believe it's quite necessary to apologize.
Oh God. You see now why you need to apologize. But we'll be going to another level now.
Yes.
Now, some will say it wasn't intentional now. It was not intentional. I didn't mean it between husband and wife.
Yes.
That I'm sorry. I just found myself, in short, I before I realized it's beyond what I can. So I have told you I'm sorry. Why do I need to apologize again? What do we do in that state?
Okay, thank you. So again, apology is, like I said earlier, verbal and non-verbal. You may say something without meaning it. And that's why, again, when we're looking at this issue of apology, we cannot separate it from culture and religion. All right. So many times when we grow up, our parents will say, look, if there's something between a senior brother and a junior brother, they always tell you, you are the younger one, apologize to your senior. And sometimes it creates a conflict.
But that doesn't occur again.
I hope it does not.
It doesn't, because there is always like, your brother has apologized, so let it go.
Yeah.
And the brother may be even richer than the senior brother.
That's right.
So the parents may decide to like, think in such situations, because these family values, what do you think? Are we losing our values in that area with what you were saying before?
Yes, in a way, because I was coming back to the husband and wife relationship.
Yeah, sure.
Now, the old proverb, and permit me to use some of our native language.
Go ahead. That's why it's family.
They said, ìyàwó tó bá mọ ẹbí ẹlẹ́bi kò ní pẹ́ lórí ìkúnlẹ̀, or anybody at all. So one of the gestures of apologizing is to kneel down. All right, and it tells the person you're apologizing to that you genuinely want to make peace. So I think both husband and wife should make up their minds that if you are convinced that the other person has been hurt, even if it was not intentional, it says a lot to just say, you know what, I'm sorry. By that way, you heal more and you bond more. I was, in our church, we had family weekend yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was allowing some of the members to talk. And this woman said that when she initially married her husband, she was the talkative type. He was very quiet. And he was wondering, you come back from work, I ask you, how is everything? You don't say anything. So he said, fast forward. She now doesn't want to talk anymore because she's adjusted to, you don't respond to me. He now wants to talk. As she says, So we need to quickly understand the other person's feelings. Okay? You may not have done something intentional, but it's often the other person. In the family, sometimes unintentionally, in our communication, we body shame our partners.
Yeah.
Do you understand? I see you've gone back a lot. And genuinely, that person is getting hurt. Why are you
body shaming
me? So if that comes up in a discussion, you apologize and make adjustments. Because the real essence of apology is that you make adjustments not to do it again, at least willingly. You understand my point? But if you are repeatedly doing something, for example, I'll tell you my personal story. My father is 88 now.
Wow.
And, not intentionally, I may not remember to call him in 2-3 days. So the moment he called, I said, Daddy, I'm sorry. Ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ náà nìyẹn. I'm sorry.
And tomorrow might be a levy.
But he knows that I may not also call him again after that for another 2-3 days. So those are the minor ones. But there are bigger issues. For example, a spouse takes the savings that the husband and wife have been saving to do a project. And then either he just goes to do a lottery or something, and then boom,
the money is gone to the wind.
That can be very hurtful. Even when you apologize, the hurt is still there. Or let me even take it much higher. In some of the weddings or marriages we have, especially as Christians, Christians are meant to be monogamous. Your wife has trusted you, then suddenly you wake up your wife one day and say, you know, I'm sorry, I have another child from another woman.
A love child.
Love child.
Call it love child.
Love child. You know, no matter how many sorries you say, it will really take a long time.
Really take a long time.
Because you betrayed trust. You betrayed trust.
You betrayed trust. Okay, it's time for us to go for a word of marble. I'm sure you've been learning one or two things. In short, more than 2 things by now. I hope you're jotting it down. It's very important. Please, let's go for a word of marble. And we will be right back. We'll go anywhere, stay tuned. Okay, is it possible for us to go on this beautiful word of marble and still come back like that? Anyway, it's possible. Anything is possible, especially when you're in the studio. We've been talking about, do I have to apologize? You find this between siblings, the family, in our homes, when we're discussing, even in the office. Excuse me, it wasn't intentional. What do I need to apologize about? That's why we need to talk about this. Why do we really need to? For what reason? What is the need for me? When? Where? How? Those are the things we need to look at this morning. Because the year is coming to an end, it's starting on status, on social media. In any way I've wronged you, I apologize. Whatever it is, please forgive me. I've been talking with Professor Adewale Ayodele and Ore Mosso. He is also a medical doctor, let me put it like that. Human anatomy, you know, I know two sides of school, but it's all good. It's all good. Let's go back to our discussion as we continue to talk about why do I have to apologize? What is in it for me? Okay, sir. Thank you for still staying tuned with us this morning. I want to ask, is it possible to apologize without admitting fault? So I'll tell you, how do I continue to apologize? I know you still do the same thing. And one of our guests said something on last week. He said sometimes between friends, you have issues and you apologize. That's friend. But between husband and wife, prepare your mind, just like you said, a willingness not to let such thing happen again should come to mind. So he said, but husband and wife, you may likely have something similar reoccurring that will cause a little rift between the two of you. You have to find a way to get yourself into forgiving quickly and just let it slide. So I want to ask, is it possible to apologize without admitting a fault?
Yeah, it is, but it's in breaking it down, not really apology. Because you need to address the root cause. You see, when you cut a tree and you cut the leaves, as long as the roots are still down, you will not cut the tree. And that's why even the scripture says there's a hope for a tree as long as
cut down,
you know,
at the center of water.
Exactly. Once it still cites water. So the truth is, when you apologize, let it really come from within. If you need to apologize, again, just to balance, there are certain times you really don't need to apologize, because again, many of the people who are politicians, they came from homes. You understand my point? I was listening to some interview of a politician who had said so many horrible things about another person, said so many horrible things, and now that person, came to power, and then they began to play all the horrible things. But
trust Niger.
Yeah,
They'll bring it back to your memory.
Yeah, but he just, brushed it aside. That well, it's part of the game.
It's part of the game.
So, yeah. So sometimes it's not altogether necessary to apologize because, again, like they say, sometimes it's just part of the game that people are playing. But in the home, it's good to understand each other and maintain peace, because one of the greatest places where trust, where betrayal of trust causes greatest hurt is between husband and wife, or between parents and children. And it's also a sign that we are humble enough to admit that we're not perfect. We are humble enough to admit. Parents sometimes may need to apologize to their children. For example, you don't need to apologize for where you came from. Somebody feels that, you have, for example, you have a family member abroad and all that. And somebody says, you have an accent. You don't need to apologize that they say you have an accent, because it's in their own culture that you have an accent. If they come to your culture, they have an accent. So I don't have to apologize for the way I speak my English, because I'm not meant to speak English like you.
Like you.
Yeah.
Like I always tell people, myself and Princess Joy, my co-host, was discussing this last week. That will be speaking with their tongue and with their. Why not speak? If a white man will tell you in broadcasting, do it originally. Communicate with the people you want to really get, their attention. You want to pass the message across to. Speak it in the way they will be able to understand it. Don't start coining it and make it look. If you are anytime you are talking, talk in a way that the people you want to communicate to, you are passing it, are able to get it. God will help us. God will help us. It's all about the generation that we are in. We just need to do some little phonetics and to show that we people.
I agree with you, but see, my point is this. One of the biggest, the oldest universities in Nigeria is the University of Ibadan. But you hear people come and say, I studied in the University of Ibadan. It's not Ibadan. Ibadan. So don't be apologetic for calling Ibadan.
Oh my God. Can apology strengthen our relationship? How can it strengthen our relationship?
That's a good one. You see, it strengthens the relationship because, number one, like I said, no two people are perfect. Husband and wife have come from different homes, different values, different cultures, and all that. So you need to apologize when you don't understand the totality of where the other person is coming from. For example, in some cultures, you don't prostrate. And so if on the day they were coming to do the memorial, that the person says we only prostrate to God.
Yeah.
You understand? So, but where that would have been, you would have apologized to your own family that please, this person that is coming may not prostrate. Please, I'm sorry, but that's their culture. They hold it strongly and dearly. So when the home is there, sorry should not be flippant, because again, it's just like I love you. When you say I love you too many times, it loses its value. So sorry should also not be a flippant, everything I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. When you say you're sorry, you make effort to make a change. I mean, for example, even though I'm about 29 years married, very young in marriage. But, there are things my wife will say, and I'll say, okay, I'm sorry, and I'll make conscious efforts. I may not get it right all the time. You may say, okay, I want you to clear that area and all that. And then I go and do a lot of things, you have to deal with church, with the work and the university, and that thing is still there. And it says, but you apologize, I will take care of it, So you must mean what you say and say what you mean, like the Bible says, let your year be year, any other thing apart from that.
Okay, so what role does empathy play in apology? Do we really need to? Because empathy is different from sympathy. It means you still need to put some other attributes round to surroundings, like this beautiful decorations now. It's in a vase with all the fruits items. So you need to garnish it. How? Whether in between husband and wife, with a colleague, your siblings, how do we do this? How easy is it going to be when you apply empathy to play in an apology?
Okay, so empathy is trying to put yourself in the other person's position. And you will ask yourself, if the roles were reversed, how would I feel? If the roles were reversed, how would I feel? How would I react? So if somebody, like I say to people, one of the things that we do that we need to apologize about to God is not praying, not talking to Him. And I say, if you wake up for 1 week and your spouse doesn't talk to you, just decides, I don't want to communicate. So if you put yourself in that role, you will feel hurt. And basically, when you apologize, it's trying to mitigate the hurt in the other person. So you must empathize with people, and that's why when disasters occur, people need people around them to come and say, we're sorry for what happened. You didn't create fire disaster. You didn't create the hurricane. You didn't create the situation that blew up their roof. We understand what you're going through. We're sorry this happened to you. We'll see what we can do to mitigate, the effects of the situation. So, yes, we need to empathize with people, but again, you still need to be yourself. Otherwise, you may lose that self-confidence, if you have to apologize for everything.
That's what is going to bring me to my last question. Yes. Can apology undermine his sincerity? Like, I picked to what you said the other time. When you say, I love you too much, continuously, it may not really have the grasp you wanted it to. But some were like, I think it too, it's a reminder. But you said, even when you apologize too much, so can apology undermine its sincerity of the apology itself? That I'm apologizing to Magdalene now. I'm sorry. Forgive me. And I say it today, I say it tomorrow, I say it, and it's a wrinkle. It has become a slaughter. So, can he really undermine his sincerity?
Yes, it now depends on the person who's apologizing. Again, permit me to use this. It says that the word of God is powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword. The end of it says, and is a designer of the thoughts and the intents of the heart. So it can also undermine, because if the thoughts and the intents are not really what you're apologizing for, then the other person may not know, but your heart, you have a conscience that tells you you're just saying this from the least. Your heart is far away from what you say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So how do we really now know what are the things we need to look out for? What are those qualities or those pointers that we would notice when you see a genuine and sincere apology coming your way, either from your wife, your husband, your brother, your sister? What are those things, like nuggets we can pick from apology that is sincere?
Okay, so number one, the person is willing to make a change. Willingness to make a change. Number two, that apology must be expressed both verbally and non-verbally.
Wow. Yeah. How do we put that?
Yes, so for example, in our culture, in the western part of this country, when you do something great, you just don't go to the offended on your own. You look for uncles, aunties, people that the person will respect, and they go along with you. That shows that these are their own private weaknesses. That if you do this again, all right, then you are before all these people saying you are not a person of integrity. So you always look for people who the offended will have respect for, and two, that you know that they will hold you accountable if you do that again. So that is quite important in the sincerity of an apology. Particularly the last one I want to say is that you must make up your mind. If you know that truly you've offended that person, because like they say again in Yoruba, there's Eshe, Amomoda, and Eshe to Okowa. So when the sin is a deliberate sin, then your apology is not genuine and sincere. But when, okay, it happened, but you made up your mind, I will make adjustments, then the other person knows that, yes, you're sincere. And again, it just helps to build bonds and make our families better.
It helps to build bonds and makes our family better. I'm through with my question, but I just want to paint a scenario.
Yeah.
Something that happened recently. You see a brother trying to correct the younger one. I'm talking about this generation now.
That's right.
And irrespective of who you bring or you have brought, they see it as, Daddy, please, let me just, for now, I don't want to. When do you think it's right to apologize? Is it immediately? Or maybe let some air blow in the direction and let it cool off? There's a cool off before. When? How?
Okay. So we always make effort to reconcile. There are people, what exactly is divorce? Irreconcilable differences.
Benny, I was looking at that English.
Yes. Irreconcilable differences. Some people are just hurt and they don't want to see the other person. But you see, for the person who needs to apologize, do your own bit. Do your own bit. Okay? The other person may not embrace you. The other person may say, look, the hurt is too much, I just don't.
So don't be disappointed if the person is
not. Don't be disappointed. But you have cleared your heart. Because again, unforgiveness can stop people from making heaven.
It can even stop you from making good success in life.
So it's important that you clear your heart. And I think, personally, the moment the offense is committed and it's brought to your attention, do it immediately. Do the apology immediately. Because the longer you defer it, the more that person thinks you think you can get away with it. You just don't care. So I think we should be, and that's why even parents, when you're correcting a child and you want the child to apologize, when they offend, correct them, let them apologize immediately. The moment you allow time, by the time you're asking them to apologize, they lose the essence. Why am I not apologizing for? Because there's a time lag between the offense and when the apology is supposed to be given. So we need to shorten that time. You commit an offense, there is it's brought to your notice. Once you're convinced, apologize.
Now, between husband and wife, I was privy to a situation whereby the husband did committed, or maybe the wife found the husband with another woman. And the wife was so hot, the next thing she did was just go into their room and lock herself up. And because they had a grown-up son, they decided to say that he was standing at the door. I'm sorry, it was not what you think. It was not what you think. Trying to explain, but the wife was not ready. She was just troubled, devastated in the room and was not ready to hear or listen. Even the more she heard the husband's voice, she feels like, oh. Now, the son was there to help the man and said, Daddy, please, let her cool off. Let her cool off. Not now, not now, because the boy is about 20. Yeah. Now, how come sometimes these young ones are there, God does it perfectly work. So the father listened to him because he knew he need to, it's not a fatherly role now. Sometimes you may be the head of the family, but you are now having someone younger.
Somebody else's counsel.
So in that situation, what should be done?
Yeah, I agree with that kind of situation where the scenario is such that somebody may get hurt. All right. So the word of God also says that where there is no counsel, purposes are destroyed. But in the multitude of counselors, there's safety.
Yeah.
So the man needs to look for a good counselor. It could be a senior person at work who you can confide with, senior person in the family, the pastor, professional counselors. That many Nigerians don't take advantage of. There are people who are certified professional counselors. Talk to them. Okay? Talk to them. And again, you mentioned something earlier before we went on air.
Yes, sir.
And that about mental health.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes things are done because there are mental health issues. All right? And that's why you also may sometimes need to go to somebody who is a mental health expert to attend to the situation. Because most often assume that everything everybody does is because they're doing it in their normal sense.
Of mind.
But could happen that at that point in time,
that
person is not in this normal mindset.
Oh God. I've been talking with one of my pastors from the Redeemed Church of God, talking about Pastor Professor Ayodele Oremoso. He is he's a doctor of human anatomy, and he's a counselor. He's a life coach. I'm sure you've heard pick one or two things on that. So we have it from all angles. He's an author, and it's so good to have him on air this morning. But as you leave, I just want you to drop a word of advice to viewers who are watching you. Maybe 1 minute word of advice that we can go with.
So before the word of advice, I also want to appreciate Pastor Saudi.
Yes, Pastor.
Such a wonderful mentor for me and my wife. Yeah, so as we close, apology should not just be something that you say flippantly. You must also be convinced that it's time to apologize. And sometimes it could have taken years, but it helps both the offended and the offender. I think, especially in the home, we must cultivate that value of letting people not to be too proud to say, I'm sorry. It might be a difficult word, but it's a magic word. It's one of those words that you train them to use, and it helps them in their life. So as we close, I just want to say to families, keep the bond. Two cannot work together except if they agree. In that agreement comes offenses, apologies, and forgiveness. On that note, I say I wish every family, as we go to the end of the year, strong bonds as we continue in this journey.
As we continue in this journey, thank you so much. It's so good to have you, sir. And Pastor DK was supposed to be here, and he decided to just bring in one of the mentees. So I'm so delighted. Today went well. Thank God. And also, not just for our school debates. Watch out. Don't miss it too. And all the sponsors, please keep coming in. We need you. It's family and values. So everything that has to do with family is very important and dear to my food, Princess Joy Apple. Unfortunately, she's not here with me. I miss her anyway. But it's one of those things. Sometimes the Bible says the one who is down the one who is up will help support the one who is down. So if I'm not here, she will be here. If she's not here, I will be there. So it's all well. God bless you. Even as we continue, tomorrow is another beautiful day. As we'll be talking about anti-rape device called Rape Axe. It's actually Rape Axe, was called Rape Axe. We want to do this awareness on this particular device. How safe is it? Is it ideal? Why do we need to be treated like an animal? I'm talking to the elephant in the room. So be on standby tomorrow. Rape Axe is very, very, very a punishment in past prison. So all those who believe rape is the next thing you do, you want to get away with it, watch out. The women are coming for you. Watch out. No uncle, no auntie, whether you're a male. The only thing is that the male too should want, a woman decides to put this together. So the male too should look for a way to get people who are raping. I listened to a man of God who said he was raped at the age of 8.
Wow.
Yes, in his school. So it goes a long way. It happens to male, it happens to female. God will continue to protect us, protect our children, and keep us all safe. Like I said, there's always a light at the back of the tunnel. I wish you the very best of today. Love yourself, celebrate others as you celebrate yourself. And please, as many that you can share with them. Nobody is smiling now. Share. It's good to share whatever you have. On behalf of everyone who has put today's show together, I want to say a big thank you, especially to my partner, Princess Joy Abo, to Magdalene, to Kay, to the MCR, to Calista, to the editor, Gary, thank you so much. To social media, for our graphics, our designs, and everything, we really, really appreciate the exhibition. Thank you to all our bosses, and wish you all the very best of today. Have a splendid day. I still remain Olori Abijoke.